Alternative gonna give you what you asking for. Naturally yours, but educate the most. Hottest in the game, here to put you on. Come learn this business, welcome to Twinness. Alternative gonna give you what you asking for. Naturally yours, but educate the most. Hottest in the game, here to put you on. Come learn this business, welcome to Twinness. But glad you're tuning in on the latest tip. Alternative salon, keep your head lit. And naturally yours got your custom fit. Teacher Benson, can keep your wig drip. TNT, double up the impact, call it Twinness. Hottest hairstylist in the business. Keeping topics fresh for your listening. Black owned, woman independent. Like fishes hold it down on your imaging. Whether professional or apprenticeship. Showing culture love just to get you right. Black is beautiful, always shining bright. Alternative gonna give you what you asking for. Naturally yours, but educate the most. Hottest in the game, here to put you on. Come learn this business, welcome to Twinness. Alternative gonna give you what you asking for. Naturally yours, but educate the most. Hottest in the game, here to put you on. Come learn this business, welcome to Twinness.
Good evening, Nikki. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am great. It was a good day today. I took a makeup class early this morning, and it was great. It's by one of the makeup artists that I really been following for plenty years.
Okay.
And so I was happy to take her class this morning. She's known worldwide. There was people there from Spain, just from everywhere. They were just all over the place. So we had Arabic in there. You know, it was just a lot. It was all around the world. Anyway, how was your day?
It was well. And hey, LP, I don't know if you see him on here.
I do.
All was well. I just came from the shop today, and it was a good day. So today was my girl from Tennessee and my other young lady, Bianca. So I'm going to post them later. But it was a good day overall.
Okay. Well, was there anything that we needed to talk about? First, guys, we want to say thank you for watching, and we are streaming live on @Voice of Promise at Roku, and we are also on YouTube, and we're here live with you on Facebook.
Yeah, I don't think we had any questions. Of course, we were not here last weekend. But our series on Foster Care to Fabulous, we got a lot of inboxes on that, so I appreciate you guys for that. But today we're going to keep it light and simple. What is today's topic, T?
We're talking everything hair. People always want to know, now the season is about to change soon, but, people still have the same questions over and over again. So we're just going to be talking about general stuff over again.
Okay. And so I think one of the things that we were going to talk about was maybe protective styles. And as you can see, I have somewhat a protective style over my locks. And it's just, for the time being, giving my hair a break, just want something different for a little while. So,
And I must say, I love that Afro puff.
Thank you. Thank you.
The Afro puff.
Yes.
Oh, hi, Alicia. How are you? Okay. So let's get into it. Well, I wanted to start with so you want to start with the protective style?
Well, yeah, I guess.
Okay, so let's start there. So talk to me about protective styles.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Like for me right now, I have locks, everyone knows, but sometimes you want to change from the looks of the locks. And so this was a one way that I can do that. And also kinky twist is another one that I like to do over locks, or crochets over locks. And so those are some options for my clients that want something different, that want a different look, but want to maintain their locks underneath. And I think with the protective styling, we have to make sure that you're still protecting your natural hair underneath whatever style you have going on, whether you're wearing a weave, whether you're wearing braids, you want to make sure that you are still nurturing your hair and your scalp.
What makes a protective style a protective style? Because I've always said this term protective style has been used so loosely, and everybody's using the term protective style. But what makes it a protective style, really?
I think that what makes it protective is keeping it from the heat. I think when people were doing a lot of flat ironing and things like that, that's what made it protective because they're not having to go in every day and flat iron their hair every day, all the harsh chemicals and stuff like that. I think that's what or why they use the term protective. I'm sorry, y'all.
And to me, protective styling, let's talk about it in a natural hair care sense. Let's say you get a double twist. To me, that's a protective style because you're not manipulating your hair every day. You just
Right,
put it in the twist and you can get up and go. So
right.
that's what makes it protective. But then let's talk on the flip side of that. What makes a protective style not protective?
When it starts pulling your hair, when you're not caring for your hair underneath, when you're letting them stay in way too long. I think sometimes our people like to keep their braids in, because they feel like they spent the money or because of the length and they feel like they still could flip it and whatever. And sometimes I just look and say, those really, really just need to come out about now. So I think that makes it not as protective, not getting the maintenance done, because a lot of times I'll do perimeter touch up for my clients. So making sure that you're following through, because a lot of times in the end, the client will say, the braids made my hair fall out or something like that, or the weave, it pulled it out in the middle, or whatever. They'll say, have a whole bunch of stories to give. But what was your part? What was the part that you played? You didn't maintain it. You didn't go back to see your stylist. You didn't tell them when they were sewing it in that it was too tight in the center. You neglected stuff on your part, but want to place the blame. And I think that sometimes we all need to acknowledge our role.
All right, I'm gonna piggyback off of that. What did I ask you? What makes it not a protective style?
Mhm.
Um, I agree. When you have box braids, let's say, and you know that they're braiding the edges too tight, and you don't say anything, or sometimes you will say, but then the braider continues to braid too tight, or a client will say, the tighter the braid, the better, and that is a problem. That's an issue that I see a lot. I just had a client yesterday; both of her sides are gone because
Mhm.
of the braiding, and then I have another one, her edges are gone, all of this because of the weaving, and she still wants her hair weaved, and I'm just like, yeah, no. And it's not me weaving. She's a new client, and she wanted to know what can she do. So yes, when you leave your styles in for too long, yeah, like what you said, to hold on to the money. Well, I paid X amount of dollars for this and I'm gonna make it last me. Or like I had a client yesterday, she had crochets in, and she's pretty good with coming in, and her crochet still looks so good, and it's only
Mhm.
been 6 weeks, but she knew that, she's a regular and she knows she had to come in. But she really needed her hair washed. When I got to that sink and it was time to wash her hair was filthy.
Yeah.
So yes, so she already is in the routine. She's been a client for 12 years, and she knows those braids got to come out. Sometimes you got to give your hair a break.
Yeah.
That's what people don't realize either. It's like you cannot wear these extensions year in, year out. That's when it starts to become not protective, because you have to give yourself a break. And I think a lot of people don't realize that, or they just so used to wearing the extension that they don't want to give their hair a break. I have a client, she's a young teenager now, and she does not like to wear her hair natural at all, and she has gorgeous hair, and that's a whole nother topic. But it's because she's adopted, and she's adopted with a different culture, and she wants her hair like that. And that is a problem from the beginning, and she won't embrace her natural.
I think too, products can sometimes be a problem for protective styles because you still want to slick it down. And so you have a lot of the gels and things like that that have the alcohol in it that's not really protecting your hair. So I think certain products we in the South use this product called Pump It Up. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it.
The
That
spritz.
hardens the hair, yeah, the spritz, and so that's kind of, it stiffens your hair. So, but you know, it's a lot of the products that that also can make it not protective. I have
Yeah,
a
products. Yeah, I could go on with products as well because for locks specifically, I don't like when clients come in and they have gone to another salon or something, or they're trying to do it at home themselves, and then they use the black gel, which ends
mm,
up causing buildup in the locks and makes it slimy.
mm.
Because you're not supposed to use that in your locks, and you're damaging your locks using that because now it's embedded, it's hard to get out, and now I have to use a towel to kind of. It's just sometimes when you use the wrong products, it's just not good.
Right. I've done a few this weekend, lot clients, and I just use water and oil. And my clients was like, "You don't use no product?" I'm like, "No." And if I did use a product, it would probably be like the gel that you gave, Joy Gel, or not mousse, what do you call it? Setting lotion. One of those two products. So I'm like, but no, I don't typically use any products. And so one young lady was like, if I brought something, would you use it? I'm like, I'll use what you bring me. But I don't typically use any products in the locks. And this client only has been here the second time. She recently moved to Birmingham, and she loved her hair when she got up out the chair without, it was just oil and water.
I had a client 2 days ago, and I won't say where they're from, but they're from a different country. And the wife uses mousse on his locks. And again, the product buildup in there. She said the mousse works for her and makes it last longer or whatever. But when I washed her hair, his hair. She could see all of the that couldn't come out, and I washed it 3 times, and I had a black towel, and I went up the shaft of the lock and down the shaft, and I showed her the towel, and I said, "See, this is what that mousse is putting in his hair." So she said, "Oh, I didn't realize." So sometimes when you don't know, you just don't know.
Yeah.
But also sometimes people will use things thinking that is good. I told you I
Right.
had a client that likes to use grease on her locks. That's a big no-no for locks because grease is heavy and it embeds in the lock. And
Right.
so it's something when you don't know, you try to do everything or so
Yes.
moving
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. I have a former, the mother used to be a client, but the daughter is a stylist now. And her specialty is like wedding hair and stuff. But she had posted something, and I kind of agreed with her. She said, "Y'all say y'all's hair is dry, brittle, breaking." And then she had a product line that was very cream based. I'm not going to say the line. I said, yeah. She said, "It's not that it's all of those things. It's that y'all clog the pores and your scalp is suffocating." That's what she put. Your scalp is suffocating from all this stuff that y'all are putting on your hair. And I was like, that's true. And it's a well-known line, so I can't mention what it is.
All right, so let's move on because we talked about protective styles, what makes it protective and what makes it not protective. Also, when you are wearing a protective styles, you have to make sure that you're still moisturizing. That's the end for me with the protective styles and what makes it not a protective style. Now, as you can see, my hair is in a protective style.
Nice. Nice.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And how are you, Trish? um, so what I did was wash it, and but let me tell you, um, I washed it
Hmm.
and then I groomed it, right? And then, but before doing all of that, if I get close to the camera, you can see my scalp is a little dry. It needs some oil in it right now. But what I did was scrape the scalp, and I had put that in our intro.
Okay.
Sometimes you need a scalp treatment, and like some people don't know about steam treatments, you also need to know about your scalp treatments. So a scalp treatment is very simple, and I think we used to always do this back in the day. I know you and
Yeah.
I do, but
Yeah.
for people who might not know, you would sit on a stoop or you would sit wherever in your bedroom, living room, whatever, in between the legs, get a comb, and you just start
Hmm.
scraping your
Yeah.
hair, scraping all of that, whatever it is. It could be dandruff, it could be product buildup, it could be whatever it is, but you want to
Debris.
get in there.
Yeah.
Yes. and you scrape it up, and you cleanse your scalp before, and it feels so good once you know that all of that is lifted, you know, and then, you go wash your hair, and then you, hey, Brandy, thank you for joining us tonight. So the scalp treatment right there, scalp treatment, then you go wash it, then you sit under some conditioner. But for me, because I have locks, I would sit and do a steam treatment. And I did post a picture of me giving myself a steam treatment with oil. So I had a hot oil steam treatment. Don't rinse the oil out. You just groom as you normally would. But the scalp treatment is important, guys, because you want to get up all of this stuff that you have on your hair. If you're saying that you're putting grease or you're using cream or you're using whatever, you want to make sure that you unclog that, scrape that up, have a nice clean scalp, and start all over. Right?
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. How often should you do it? How often do you need it?
Right.
I like to do that maybe once every 2 months or so.
Okay.
You know,
Okay. Yes, I did that to my client today, this morning. She has dry scalp, and then I have another client who has eczema. So, I really just get in there to make sure that their locks are clean and good and taken care of. And I also do that to my daughter, who is paraplegic, and she's in that chair. And sometimes it's necessary to do that to her. She needs a trim right now. So y'all are watching Twin This on Facebook, also on Roku at Voice of Promise. T, where else are we?
YouTube.
There you go, YouTube. So I'm Tanika Gillard, and this is Tisha McDonald. Y'all are watching Twin This.
And we're just talking some, we wanted to keep it light tonight, guys. We just wanted to talk about some hair tips because we are always being asked, what's next? What can I do? This, that, and the other. And we know that the change of season is coming. Spring is coming. And we want you to have the best hair that you can have, right? So protective style. So I just braided up my locks, and they've been up for 2 weeks now. Now, clients will ask me, like yesterday, I had one, she's just hilarious. But when I braid her locks, she likes to leave them in for 1 full month and then take them out. I don't have a problem with that. This will probably stay one more week because you guys know me. 2 weeks is already long enough, but I'm doing pretty good. So I'll leave them for another week, and then I will take out the braids, and it'll be down for another 3 weeks, and then it'll be time for me to regroom my hair. The thing is, you want to make sure that you're not over grooming. So I always tell my clients 6 weeks. I don't need to see you every 3 weeks. That's over twisting. I don't need to see you
Yes,
that often. I can
yes.
see you every 6 weeks. That's good enough for me. That's good enough for you,
Mhm.
but I have some that has like the gray hairs that's stubborn, it won't lay down, this, that, and
Right.
the other. So, they want to come often. So I have one guy and he just loves just coming. So, you know, but every 6 weeks to groom your locks, that's good enough.
Yeah, I say the same thing to my clients. I don't want to see you that often. I like you, I enjoy your company, but I don't want to see you that often. So I tell them the same thing.
So that was the other thing, was the scalp treatments. And you get in there with what I really like to do when I'm doing a scalp treatment is giving a tea tree conditioning treatment. I like a
Okay.
tea tree conditioning treatment. It makes the scalp feel invigorating. Or I can use like my peppermint oil
Right.
on the scalp. It's just, guys, you can't go wrong with a scalp treatment. Everyone should have that every now and again. And you know what? I might end up making that like making a package and include that,
Okay. Okay.
now that I'm thinking about it. Guys, you are watching the Twinness. Thank you so much. We're just talking here. Talk to me, Nikki. What's next?
Well, even with the shampooing, like you was talking about braiding tight, I have clients that want you to get in when you shampooing, and they want you to get in there, in there, in there. And I guess that's some type of a treatment as well. Massaging the scalp. You know what I did the other day? I brushed my girl's locks, and I asked her, has she ever had her locks? Because they were thick, voluptuous locks. And she said, I've heard of people doing it, but I've never done it myself. And the reason why you brush locks for me is because you get those red blood cells circulating, you get all of the the emollients through the hair, and not just on the scalp. You want to get it all the way through. And so I brushed her locks, and that was her first time ever having them done. But at the shampoo bowl, you could give them a good scalp massage as well, with a good shampoo, a good conditioner. Some people like to do a leave-in conditioner on their hair as well. So what about it, T?
No, well, we're going to talk about it, but we have a question right now.
Okay.
Trish asked, do you ever use apple cider vinegar on hair when cleansing? Trish, of course. So, matter of fact, I'll be advertising it later or launching later. But I have shampoo bars in the salon. I only use shampoo bars for my hair personally. And a lot of my clients are now transitioning to shampoo bars. And the first ingredient in my shampoo bars is apple cider vinegar. And I got to give a shout out to my girl Renee because she makes my products for me. They're handmade, so I know what's in them. And but yes, apple cider vinegar is good for the hair. It gives it a shine. Now I used to use the straight up vinegar, Trish. I used to use the straight up vinegar when I was at my bigger salon. But now that I'm in a small space, I don't, because it smells up the salon and it's a small space. Nobody wants to come in and smell that. And it's good for the locks specifically because it cleans out some of that debris, especially if you're able to let your hair just sit back in the apple cider vinegar. But yes, that's the first ingredient in my shampoo bars. And I'm going to say my shampoo bars, I love it. But I am going to be having a liquid apple cider vinegar shampoo as well. But I love the shampoo bars first.
And I did just recently do an apple cider vinegar rinse on a client with locks. A young lady, she's a little girl, she's probably about 12, maybe not even that old. And I had to do an apple cider vinegar rinse. And our space is pretty big. And I did let the other girl working next to me know I'm about to use this vinegar. She was like, I love the smell of vinegar. I love it. I'm like, okay, no problem.
It could be kind of strong though. It could be kind of strong. That's the only reason why I no longer do it. But I used to do it in a bigger space.
Yeah.
I used to do that quite often.
Yeah.
But then once Renee started making the shampoo bars for me, and that's the first ingredient, I'm like, thank you, and thank you. And another question: how do you feel about mask? How do you feel about mask?
I've
on
never
hair?
used a mask on hair. I hear good things about masks, but I don't know if this is equivalent. I will make a paste with apple cider vinegar and the baking soda and paste it on like a mask.
That's the same difference. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's the same difference. I have like a clay mask. Renee makes me everything. I just love her. But she has a clarifying mask for me. She has a mask. It's called Restore, so it's for damaged hair.
Hmm.
And then she has a calming mask if your hair is inflamed, if your hair, if your scalp is inflamed.
Right.
Um, so yes, masks are important. And you do the scalp treatment and you apply the mask. Oh, stop it. We only think about when we go to the salon, let me get a wash and a shampoo and a condition, but we don't think about the other things that your scalp may need. But then again, that is our job as
I was gonna say,
cosmetologists and
yeah,
stylists. We are supposed to let the clients know what they need. They can decline, but we ought to let them know. It can't just be an in and out type thing.
right,
Sometimes, especially if you see damaged hair and stuff like that, you want to
yeah,
give the best service that you can get.
right.
I don't, when I see things like come with your hair washed and ready, it's like, okay, it's washed and ready, and that's when you know that they're not really, to me, whatever, because I don't want you to come in washed and ready necessarily. If you do, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But let me see the condition of your hair. Let me be able to tell you what you really need, you know.
Okay, this is where we cross paths
I know.
because
I know.
my braided clients need to come washed and ready, because now if it's still not up to par, then I will shampoo it again myself. But for the most part, you need to come already shampooed, because like my girl that came yesterday, she has a ton of hair, and just to blow her hair out to make it manageable to braid took an hour. So that's without me even shampooing it. Her mother did a great job doing that part, preparing the hair for me. And she has a ton of hair, super thick. I wouldn't have been able, I mean, it took me an hour just to get it into sections that were manageable for me to work with.
That's your job. So,
But the shampooing part can be done at home before she comes.
well, that's where where we disagree, guys. This is where we
Yes.
disagree. And so sometimes just because we're twins don't mean that we agree on everything. And this is where we disagree. And we have disagreed on this subject for a minute. I have a client who comes from Jersey, and I do all three of her daughters, and she always comes with her children washed and ready. Actually, two of her kids are now in college, so they come washed and ready every time they come. Matter of fact, she has taken one of my masks, and she was one of the first ones to use my mask. I asked her to test it out. Actually, she was the second one, and loved it for her daughter. Loved it for her daughter. But I don't know. I feel like, to me, it should be included in the service. Or if you have to do it and you feel you want to charge more for it, then add it as an upcharge. But I still feel like, not necessarily when they come washed and ready, are they really clean?
You need to check your comments.
Well, I'm looking. I see. We understand, Nikki. I see it. I see it. How you doing, Peg? How you doing, Peg?
Someone on my side, Team Nikki.
Oh gosh, here we go.
But yeah, so I think it's but yes, stylists are getting a lot of flack about that. However, in my defense, when you go to the other shops, they're not shampooing your hair.
Yes, they are.
Yes,
you are. Yes, they are, because they're getting it washed and blown and flat ironed or washed and blown.
No. The other salons, braiding salons.
Okay.
The other braiding salons.
Okay.
That you go
be
to.
Clear.
Yes, the other braiding salons. You're not getting it shampooed. You going in, you sitting down, you paying your $300 to $500 for your micro braids or whatever you get in. They are not shampooing your hair.
And you might be a little bit right there. It depends on where you're going, though. But I do know that one in my area, she will send them over to Alternatives to get a wash. And I'm like, if you're not getting like fully serviced here, I'll wash you because I'm going to take the money anyway. But no, if you don't come and tell me that, she told you to come over here to get it washed. No, don't do that, So I'll be like, no, I'm sorry. I don't have time. I don't have space. I don't have, So I'm sorry. Can't help you. All right.
Okay.
Taking a pause right now. Go ahead, Nikki. I'm sorry.
Y'all are watching Twin This. We are streaming live on Roku at Voice of Promise channel on TV. We're also on Facebook and on YouTube. This is Tanika Gillard. I am naturally yours.
And this is Tisha McDonald, Alternatives Beauty Studio. And we really just wanted to get on here and have a light and lively conversation just about hair, taking care of it. The seasons are about to change, like we just said. A lot of people don't realize or don't know about a scalp treatment. So we wanted to talk a little bit about a scalp treatment. You've heard us mention a steam treatment earlier in the year when winter really started taking off, because that's good to hold in moisture. A lot of people didn't know or haven't heard about a steam treatment. So we had talked about that months ago. So today we wanted to talk about scalp treatments, protective styles, what makes it not a protective style. And I did get this question last week, Thursday or Friday. What do you do with your hair in between visits? So she comes, mom and one daughter gets wash blow flat, and the other daughter gets just like 8 cornrows. And so she said, Tisha, you need to have a show on what do you do on the in-between. Okay. So for me, for the wash blow flat, because it's mom and one daughter who gets a wash blow flat. And in between, because she only comes once a month. And in between, she could twist her hair down at night and still wear it out. She could, she's never going to flat iron her own hair. That's just not going to happen. But she's good for putting it in 2 cornrows. She's good for, wearing it in a ponytail. She's good for things like that. So I'm like, that's a simple in between. And in between her daughter that gets the 8 braids, all she has to do is grease the scalp and keep it moving. There's nothing for her to do because she's here once a month. And it's really, her curls last a long time because she gets the curls, like she gets a tight curl. But the other daughter, she just gets it straight,
I don't think it's much to do on the in between. If you have braids, just making sure that you shampoo it when you can. And your stylist really should be telling you what to do for that particular style to make it last, for a good duration of time. Hey, Tanya.
So she's asking a question. Let me read it.
Mhm.
What is the best product for damaged sides? Like, are you missing your sides? Can you just answer that in the chat?
Sometimes with the sides, because I have very thin and missing sides as well, and that's from myself. And I always tell my clients, I pulled out my own hair with braids because I was young at the time. I didn't really care for my edges. I always wore high ponytails, tight ponytails, cornrows, always to the back. So when I talk to my clients, and that's why I think I have a great retention, is because I'm very honest with them and I'm very protective of their edges because I damage my own edges. And so it depends on why your edges are falling out. So this is how I'm going to answer that question. If you have wore a lot of braids or if you wore a lot of weaves, and things like that, that's tension on the scalp, tension on the edges. And even now with the what y'all call those lace fronts and stuff, when you have to put the glue on the edges, all of that stuff is damaging and pulling to the edges. Braids are pulling on the edges, weaves are pulling on the edges, wigs are pulling on the edges. So you have to be protective of your edges. Sometimes the edges can grow back, but if you're like me, I have traction alopecia, it will never grow back. And I am aware of that. T.
And the other thing is, we had mentioned, Tanya, that sometimes it's the products that you use. So if you're using like a lot of alcohol-based products, let's say you use hairspray or you're using gel that has alcohol in it to slick it back, to keep it laid down, to keep it flat, to keep those products will take your edges out. So you have to be careful of the products that you're using. Make sure it's alcohol-free. Um, and sometimes, I have clients that are now becoming more aware of their edges, and they will say, don't touch the edges, and that's why you see now a lot of girls, and you've always done it, T. You wear your baby hairs out. So just like you wear these baby hairs out, leave these out, leave your edges out. Don't, and you don't necessarily have to have a product. And have you noticed? I've noticed now with the lace fronts, people are now starting to get away from the baby hair look. They're starting to do realistic, because realistically, do you see me with any baby hairs? I ain't got no baby hairs. That's so unrealistic for me as a grown woman to have all these baby hairs. That's not real, So I see that now people are starting to become a little more realistic with these lace fronts with the baby hairs. But also, I wanted to mention Trish, because she goes to my girl Saj, and she says she takes her daughter to keep a wash, deep condition, and trim, or whatever she needs. Saja can, so, to Saja, so you can braid it up. Okay, yeah, Saja's my girl. So so yes, and you only need to trim maybe once every 6 weeks, depending on depending on if the hair is natural. You don't need it every 6 weeks. You need it maybe once every 3 months, or 4 months. You don't have to have that trim every 6 weeks. But if you have a relaxer or you wash, blow, flat it all the time, then you need that trim every 6 weeks, because you'll see the unevenness. You will see the dead ends. You will see. And Tanya, let me say, I love that picture. I'm just going to say, I love that picture.
I don't get to see it.
Here we go.
Oh, yes, yes. Okay.
So silly. So yes. So you need that trim maybe once every 3 months if you're wearing it in its natural state, or if you're wearing it in braids all the time. Because, to be honest, I don't like to trim hair right before I'm braiding, because then the ends are too blunt. I like that kind of unevenness when I'm braiding the hair, because then it stays in the braid better. But if you're going to wear it out like a flat iron or something like that, then you're going to have to get it, or it's recommended for it to be trimmed maybe once every 6 weeks. Is there anything else, guys? Because we're getting ready to wrap it up. All right. We want to say thank you guys for watching Twin This tonight. we had a good time with this conversation. We just wanted to have something light and lively because the last 2 weeks have been very heavy. I mean, we did From Foster Care to Fabulous 2 weeks ago, and then we replayed it last week. So we want to say thank you guys for watching. We will be here next week, and we'll be talking more about like the business type stuff. So uh, I don't know because we might end up keeping it with hair because people are asking. And like we said, it's the change of season. So you are so welcome, Trish. If you have any other questions, let us know because we want to know what you need to know or what you would like to know. And as you guys know, I am going to be dropping my new skincare line, and I'm so excited about that. But there's more to come on that. I'm still working behind the scenes. I'm still working behind the scenes. So just like we talking about hair and cleansing the hair and all of this, what are we doing about our faces? We're all wearing makeup, but are we cleaning our faces? These are our canvases. And those, they need to be clean, and we need to get deep into it, not just throw makeup on top of it and making our skin worse. So, and I'm glad to see, Tanika, I must say, and I'm going off topic here, there's many of us becoming estheticians. Back when I went to school, 2001, there was not a lot of Black estheticians. And now I see more and more of us are going back to school for aesthetics. So I'm loving that move.
Great.
Yeah. So we will see you guys next week. We want to say thank you for joining us today. This is the Twinness, and we will see you guys next week, 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 5 o'clock Central Standard Time. Have a good night.
Good night.